Hello, welcome to the broadcast of this month's Welcome to We show. We're so excited that you're joining us. Please share this video with your friends and networks. I'm Rick Ulfik, founder of We the World and the We campaign at we.net. We the World is a global coalition building nonprofit organization that annually connects and promotes thousands of socially conscious groups and businesses representing millions of people to generate public awareness and action for peace, justice, sustainability, and transformation. Our supporters and collaborators have included Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Jane Goodall, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Bill McKibben, and many, many others. If you want to collaborate with us, please go to we.net/partner. On the Welcome to We show, our goal is three things: to inspire, inform, and involve you and others, and millions of others, in creating a world that works for all. That's the three I's that make a we. We want to go from a me society to a we society. and on this show, we ask the question, what can we do together that we can't do on our own? So on today's show, we'll be talking about the 75th anniversary of the United Nations and maybe how that institution might be reformed to serve people and the planet in a better way. And we'll be talking about the Climate Collaboratory. We have some amazing guests with us: Earl James, Ugoji Easy, Linda Staheli, and Marieka Staheli. And my co-host for the show is Sue Blythe, who is doing what she can to make a sustainable, just, and peaceful world for her 8 grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. She is the founder of the Climate Collaboratory, a pilot project of We the World and the University of Florida Extension's Sustainable Floridians program. Welcome to the show, Sue, the show that you conceived of doing years ago, and now we're doing it.
And we are doing it. It's so getting so energized. And tonight's guests are an example of some of the leaders that are coming into this climate collaboratory to figure out how we can work together in all new ways. So I am just really pleased to welcome again Earl James, who's part of the UN75 global conversation on how the human family is shaping our future together. And Ugoji works at the United Nations in New York with an NGO and is helping to build climate resilience in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific Islands. And Linda Staheli's Global Collab empowers young people to curate change and action in small living room gatherings. And Marieka Staheli is one of the Global Collab youth ambassadors who's spreading awareness of climate issues and solutions. And again, we thank all our viewers for tuning in, and we ask you to share the broadcast with your friends and networks now. And as you're writing, you can write comments and questions. We'll meet our guests and see what they're doing. So let's see what we can do in the Climate Collaboratory. And we'll start with Earl. Earl James brings 50 years of coalition building and political activism for protection. Earl is the author of a novel, Bella Kula, The Rainforest Brought Them Home. And he's a hyperactive board member of 2 non-governmental organizations, the Common Home of Humanity, a global environmental governance NGO, and Global Voice, bringing together diverse voices seeking progressive change in global governance. So welcome to the broadcast, Earl James. And I wonder, how are you involved in that UN's global conversation, and what have you learned about global governance?
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Sue and Rick. And, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here. And with We the World, 20 years of education, or maybe it's more than that, I don't know. I've been collaborating with Rick on and off for a long time. And every time I get burned out, I think it's time to retire. I say, I can't retire until Rick does. And he won't. I'm stuck. Anyway.
That's right, Earl. And we're not going to do it, are we?
I guess not. Yeah. So UN75, 75th anniversary of the UN, of course, is a landmark moment in many ways. We've had the UN for 75 years. It's done wonderful things. It's done incredible things. And I had, some personal experience in seeing the UN at work in the field in post-war Bosnia. Was 2 years after the termination of the war. I spent part of that year there, 1997 it was, as an election observer in different regions and cities. And, I saw the High Commissioner for Refugees in the field, building temporary homes for refugees from one part of Serbia and Bosnia to another, and keeping them separate and food. And the incredible work the High Commissioner for Refugees does. They don't get nearly enough exposure and credit for that. And this goes for so many UN agencies and programs out there right now. Thinking of climate, the UN Environment Program is a major lead force in putting together programs of all kinds and bringing together resources from all over the world towards the start of the UN decade and ecosystem restoration starting in 2021. So the UN does amazing work that not enough people know about and dig into, because it takes work to dig in and follow and find out what's going on and see where you can plug in. When you talk about the UN, people usually think about the Security Council, and that gets all the publicity, a lot of it bad, and that's where the difficulty is with the UN in terms of decision making and moving the institution into major reform arena, because none of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council want to vote in favor of giving up their veto power. They're not going to do that. Okay, that's a World War II artifact, the way that was formed and the way it operates right now. So that's a difficulty always when we talk about UN reform. But at the 75th anniversary of the UN, there's other things that are happening that are shifting the way we work with the UN, the way the UN thinks. I mean, it's all very positive. First of all, the first change has come about in the last 20 years or so in civil society. Civil society got smart and learned how to put together global coalitions with power. And the first example of that is in the establishment of the International Criminal Court, which happened in 1998, was the Rome Treaty on the Criminal Court. 3 years prior to that, the International Coalition for the Criminal Court was formed with 2,000 NGOs. And what was different about this was, first of all, these NGOs, as usual, came with deep experience and deep technical and legal knowledge and expertise. But what they did different was began forming coalition with member states. And of course, they went to the member states because they were most likely to benefit from the establishment of a criminal court. Right? So they began signing up member states to this coalition. And by the time the Rome Treaty Conference came in the summer of 1998, they had more than 121 member states in their coalition. 121 is the number of signatures they needed on the document to trigger the ratification process for the criminal court. And then a few years, like 4 years later, it came into force, been ratified. And the key there was, again, in the whole process, the UN managers said, we don't have to have 100% agreement to move this. We don't need consensus. Here's a number, we need X number of ratifications. I forget, I'm not sure what the number was offhand. They got them. If the criminal court exists, not every nation is part of it. The US is not, for example. But it's out there, it's setting precedent, it's doing its work. That same model was used to pass the International Landmine Ban Treaty. And the same model is being used now to push for a nuclear ban treaty worldwide. So this was a big shift in civil society relationship with the UN. And the other big thing that's different now, that's very recent, is global existential threats that have arisen in ways that never before were there or recognized anyway, let's say. And that, of course, is climate threat and now the COVID threat. And they're all interrelated. It's all about, the message is all about total interdependence and interdependence and to work together to survive as a species along with other species, and possibly even avoid the worst impacts, catastrophic impacts of climate change, and learn how to manage epidemics. Of course, the epidemics come out of climate change. Some of the things that cause climate change, deforestation, etc., such as moving into the animals' habitat, and then they come into ours and so on. I won't go into those details, but those are two huge changes that today really mean we can work with the UN and UN agencies in different, more productive ways. So UN75 process, the UN had its own dialogue process. It went all around the world getting people to log in and weigh in on what they like about the UN, what they don't like, and so forth, and build this larger conversation, which was great. Then there was an NGO process, the UN75 Forum on Global Governance, that pulled together a variety of NGOs to form 20 different partnership tables. For each NGO that was initiating a partnership table to them, help them form a stronger partnership and come out of this process with action steps toward their project goals. I was involved in one of those with the Common Home of Humanity. And I'll talk about CHH in a moment. And the partnership table we put together was to address the initiative of the Common Home of Humanity, which is to give legal recognition to the Earth system. Now, the Earth system is an intangible thing. It is the system of all aspects of the Earth as a living entity, right? And within that Earth system, there's the so-called safe operating space where we are now. And that operating space has 9 scientifically established boundaries. Go beyond them, you endanger the operating space. Go beyond too many of them, case closed, it's over. That operating space is responsible for all life on the planet. Every living thing depends upon that. We know what it is. We know how to monitor and measure where we are. The best example, of course, is carbon in the atmosphere. That's one of the boundaries. We're way over that. And there are others. Very briefly, ozone depletion. Too much depletion, UV rays come in, cause a whole lot of damage. Biodiversity loss, that's a big one. We're beyond our boundary on that. Chemical pollution, ocean acidification, fresh water, land use, and nitrogen in ecosystems. So we know what we need to do to live and thrive on this planet. Science knows, okay? So we said, okay, we need some bigger partners. Our goal is to have what the UN calls a global pact for the environment that incorporates the legal recognition of the Earth system so it can be protected and monitored and put into play, right? So the UN has a formal process going called the Global Pact for the Environment. Its target date is June of 2022, the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the UN Environment Program. That will take place in Stockholm. So that's called Stockholm plus 50. Okay, fine. So our goal is to organize a huge coalition of the willing, NGOs, member states, of course. By the time we reach Stockholm plus 50, UN will have no choice but to sign, have enough signatures on a document, whether it be a treaty or a strong political declaration, whatever format that takes. Something will go into effect by then that will have incentives and teeth, and so that we can much better manage our climate. That's the short version. So just to, and now to illustrate the notion that things have changed, when we brought this to the table, we invited some high-level people to take part. Folks that we knew already supported the concept of the Global Pact for the Environment, etc. Okay, our first partner came on was the former president of the UN General Assembly, Maria Espinosa. She was the president of the 73rd session. And she is our first global ambassador on this. Second person was Isabella Teixeira, a former Minister of Environment for Brazil, and also a co-chair of the UN Environment Program's Resource Panel. So with these two stars, we put together a panel of several of the really key people. Will Steffen, who's one of the leading Earth scientists in the world, who helped define the 9 planetary boundaries, who monitors the Earth system daily. He's our science advisor. Marcelo Palazzi, who is the head of the B Corporation Network, People, Planets, and Profit, or Planet, People, and Profit, sorry, for the B Corporation, to bring the corporate world in a responsible way. Carl Burkhart with One Earth, a project of the Rockefeller Foundation, this amazing work that he's doing, including a map of the bioregions of the world and how they interact. Janine Yazzie, Navajo from Arizona, and Hindu Ibrahim from Chad. They're both co-conveners of the UN's Indigenous Peoples Major Group. They are part of the table also. So this is their new steering committee for this. And I just want to point out, I don't think the former UN General Assembly president would come into this and become an ambassador if she didn't think that, first of all, the project, legally, scientifically, politically, was very sound, but also, more importantly, that the times have changed, and that a big shift must occur, and it can occur, and this could be, one major piece of the vehicle to make it do so. We can't depend upon voluntary pledges anymore. You see what happened with the Paris Accords, biodiversity agreements. It's all unraveled. Okay, it doesn't work. There are no incentives or disincentives built in. Right, so this is what we have to do. So you all know what's happening with the climate and the deadlines of every year. It gets worse every month, every day it gets worse. It goes faster than we think, right? So we're saying here and now, maybe 2 or 3 years is the time frame we have to get it right and start acting right. So that's the track we're on, and we need your help. I'll be glad to answer questions about it if you haven't, but that's the big picture.
Well, thank you so much for giving us that big picture, because what we're trying to do here is take all of that big picture stuff and bring it down. So one person who's been involved in that is Ugoji Eze, who is a barrister at law and human rights attorney. So she must be tuning in to some of the things that you've been involved in. And she's a skilled producer of events and programs at the United Nations headquarters in New York. She speaks on climate change, global health, water disasters, women in entrepreneurship, and sustainable development. And she recently conceptualized and moderated a virtual high-level meeting at the United Nations on Building Back Better, risk-informed COVID-19 recovery and rehabilitation, and strengthening resilience to climate change-related disasters in Africa and the Caribbean. So, Ugoji Eze, we welcome you, welcome you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, thank you very much. And first and foremost, I must thank Rick for hosting this meeting and for all he does to make a difference in the world. And I must shout out to Sue and say a huge congratulations for realizing your dream. Thank you very much. As Sue said, I recently hosted an event, a high-level virtual event on the 23rd of July, Building Back Better, Risk-Informed COVID-19 Recovery and Rehabilitation and Strengthening Resilience to Climate Change-Related Disasters in Africa and the Caribbean. Now, as a woman of mixed heritage, being both from the African continent, mainly Nigeria, my late father was Nigerian, and also from the Caribbean region, my late mother was from Cuba, of Cuban descent. So obviously the issue of climate change and water disaster was indeed very personal to me. I wrote the concept note actually a year and a half ago, and prior to the onset of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Indeed, who would have thought that we'll be facing these challenges? Climate change, I believe, is here to stay and indeed will be with us for the foreseeable future. We must indeed take the issue seriously as it has tremendous impact on our livelihoods and indeed on Africa Agenda 2063. And we must ensure that in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, nobody is left behind. As world leaders continue to strategize on how to build back better from the COVID-19 pandemic, it is indeed important that disaster risk reduction and resilience building are at the core of national recovery and rehabilitation efforts. It has also become necessary to urgently strengthen community resilience to climate change related disasters, better assist communities to build back better in the aftermath of these disasters, and indeed to support developing countries to make policy and investment decisions that reduce existing disaster risks and prevent the creation of a new disaster. Resilient recovery from the impact of COVID-19 will not be possible without a conscious effort to boost global resilience on all fronts, namely social, economic, and above all, environmental. Now, the objective of the high-level meeting was basically to, amongst others, to articulate possible solutions to the effect of climate-related disasters on people in vulnerable situations and how do we address these challenges, and also to ensure that the effect of COVID-19 and the increasing frequency of climate-related disasters do not result in leaving people behind, so that we'll go towards the achievement of the 2030 agenda, and more particularly after Africa Agenda 2063, and above all, to make connections amongst various development frameworks, including the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Samar Pathway, the Paris Agreement, and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, in particular goals 1, 11, and 13. Now, the guiding questions of this high-level program was, how can African, Caribbean countries develop and implement policies and programs to strengthen preparedness, build resilience, to reduce forced migration, and above all, reduce disaster risks as part of the decade of action and delivery for the Sustainable Development Goals? And what international support do African and Caribbean countries need in terms of capacity, knowledge, access to the latest science and technology and financing instruments to develop and implement multi-hazard and multi-sectoral disaster risk reduction strategies that will include climate and pandemic risks, amongst others? Now, the expected outcome, what we expected from this high-level meeting was to raise awareness, augment commitment, and develop a deepened dialogue among member states, including representation from Africa, the Caribbean, and small island developing states and development partners, and to synthesize views expressed by the participants and present key messages as possible policy recommendations for mitigating climate change disasters and addressing the consequences of climate change on the socio-economic life wire of communities. As a direct result of this event, I formed the climate initiative, which is called Renew Our Earth. And the main mission was to empower communities in Africa, the Caribbean, and interesting enough, I extended it to include the Pacific Islands as I had a tremendous interest from the region. So basically the mission is to build back better, or should I say, should we build forward better? Because obviously in the past we've not achieved and accomplished, we were not prepared for this disaster. Post-climate change and water-related disasters, to prepare these communities to respond, to recover, and above all, to emerge more resilient in terms of disaster risk management, and also to secure a recovery for a healthy green recovery from COVID-19. It's interesting to know, I'll say that from the peaks to the oceans, global to local action necessitates inclusive partnership. Partnership is very important with local authorities, indigenous people, women, and above all, youth in this respect. Now, as a woman from the African continent, if I may quote one of our saying in Africa, one of our saying of our country is Ubuntu, the essence of being human. Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you cannot exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about our interconnectedness. You can't be a human all by yourself. And when you have all these qualities of Ubuntu, you are known for your generosity. In the spirit of Ubuntu, I would advocate that we are all global citizens, and I'll adopt the African philosophy, namely, I am because we're all together. A person is a person through other people. So I'll say that let us take on the issue of climate change. It is here to stay, and the time is now. And I'll come to the biblical perspective of this. If I may quote from Psalm 24, verses 1 to 2, I quote, "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods." We are all stewards of the earth, and I, for one, believe that we have not treated the earth very well. We have taken the earth for granted, and we have neglected our biblical imperative to treat the world very well. I look forward to collaborating with Sue and her tremendous work. As I said, I give a huge shout out, a huge thank you for all you do. My initiative is very much looking forward to collaborating with Sue to reaching out to the children of Florida and to setting up a relationship, a working relationship where we would link the children of Florida to the children of Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific Islands. I, for one, believe in building bridges of faith and bridges of communication. We need to break down barriers, and there's no better way to do this than to reach out. I, for one, believe that there's more that unites us that divides us. So again, I look forward to collaborating with Sue and for going forward, and please feel free to ask me any questions. Thank you so much once again to Rick and to Sue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ugoji. And I'd like to say that we can certainly ask questions as we put this into the Facebook. We're going to have to do this after the live stream would have taken place because we just had some technical difficulties.
I know.
You can still use the chat in the Facebook page to respond to any questions that people might have. So for both Earl and Ugoji, please do put your questions into the chat. So Ugoji mentioned this idea of working with kids in Florida. And so I'm working with the University of Florida on a pilot project that I'll tell a little more about later, but I wanted to just set the stage for this program that you're going to hear about next, because it is a way of engaging young people in these sustainable development goals and the very big picture of what's going on through the United Nations, and making it manageable and making it hands-on in local communities. And so I'm really proud and pleased to introduce Linda Staheli, who has established this program. She's the founding director of the Global Collab Network and its associated projects, including Teens Dream, which our friend Marieka is going to tell us about. And Linda has more than 30 years of experience advancing international science and innovation engagements impacting security, diplomacy, science and innovation missions, working for the White House, the State Department, National Institutes of Health, and a number of non-governmental organizations. The collab encourages everyday citizens to address challenges focused on connecting established networks. That's where we can really work together with youth-oriented solutions, working to incubate new initiatives out of living room salons. Teens Dream was created out of a series of collab salons, a global video test for teens to dream, connect, and make change, addressing one of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. So welcome to the broadcast, Linda Staheli.
Well, thank you, Sue.
Yeah, I wonder if your program, how does your program focus on the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
Thank you. So thank you, Rick and Stu, and I just feel honored to be here with you, Earl and Ugoji and Marieka. My background is building global science collaborations, as Sue said, and I'm passionate about what you do, which is connecting people to solve world problems. And when I left my job a few years ago, after 25 years of connecting scientists, I decided that what I really felt passionate about was empowering young people, because it is their future and their planet, and figuring out how to connect older folks like me and our resources, our networks, our expertise, our passions to empower young people and work collaboratively with them. So we created the Global Collab about 4 or 5 years ago. And out of that, we've had about 50 small gatherings in our living rooms called collabs. And out of those, I'm just going to share my screen. We created Teens Dream, which is a global video contest for teens all over the world. Let me see if I can do this. So this is the Global Collab. And like I say, we've had many gatherings and have incubated a number of initiatives. And we now work with the Smithsonian and other organizations to empower teens. Teens Dream is a global video contest focused on the United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So we work with teachers and students all over the world to educate them about the SDGs. And they have about 3 months to create a short 2-minute YouTube video on one of these 17 goals that I know you're all familiar with. Our winner of our competition in 2015 is a rapper from the United Kingdom, and his name's J.O. And he created, you can watch this if you like, it's a video on the SDGs.
Yeah. 1, no more poverty in the streets. Let's open our hands and give, not receive. 2, zero hunger. I believe there's enough food in the world that everyone everyone can eat. 3, good health and well-being.
So I won't watch the whole video here, but I'd love it if you would go to our website later and look at the video and learn about what we're doing. Our video competition just launched October 3rd. And like I say, teens 13 to 18, anywhere in the world, can make a video and they can submit it. Each of the submitters has their own page on our website. So you can go in and see submissions from anywhere in the world and encourage teachers and teens to submit. Um, there's a rubric and it's very simple. These are not all of our videos, but you know, we've gotten, you know, one of our winners was from Uganda just this past year, and from, let's see, where else do we have? UAE, from Spain. We had, every year we've got about 9 winners, and we fly our winners to Washington, and then we network them with mentors. And so you can see here some of the mentors that they've met. And then what we do really is our goal is to create change makers. So we have our teens get active in virtual rooms we call SDG hubs. These are some of our mentors that teens have met with over the years in Washington. But this past year we had a virtual celebration, and Marieka actually submitted and won 2 years ago. And she came to Washington with her cohort. And what we do is we really try to encourage our teens to get active in these virtual rooms. These are rooms focused on the SDGs that are led by teenagers. And I'm going to show a short video now about our SDG hubs, because Marieka focuses and is leading one of our hubs here on climate action. So she's going to talk to you in more detail about that hub. But what I'd like to do is share with you a short video about our hubs, because that's where all the action happens. And that's where we are really passionate about getting teens from anywhere in the world to come into our virtual rooms. You don't have to submit a video. So this is just something we're encouraging teens right now to do. We're looking for adult mentors. So let me just share this really briefly.
Hello, dreamer. Aren't you tired of endlessly searching the best organization in which you can actually make yourself heard? Search no more, because Teens Dream Collab found you. I'll lead you in our workspaces, but first, let's understand one important concept from the Teen Dream Dictionary. UN SDGs are the goals UN set for 2030. Here, in our SDGs hubs, we address these problems and design creative solutions for them. It's not just a think tank, it's a do tank. In the first years of our project, we were meeting in living rooms, but now we meet in virtual rooms.
Each of these is led by teens with an adult mentor.
You heard that right. Teens lead and get coached by mentors. But how does it actually work? Well, you sign up for an orientation meeting that happens monthly, and then, based on your interests and abilities, you will become a member of one of our hubs. We have 10 hubs right now, but you are also free to start your own hub based on one SDG goal for 2030. Every hub meets weekly and is led by a teen who prepares an agenda and guides the discussion. At the meetings, teens expose problems, design solutions, and act by starting projects. We did everything from a podcast about gender equality, art shows on guns, artworks, webinars, zero waste infographics, upcycling challenges, masks, documentary screenings, and even TikToks. We participate in contests and design solutions that solve illiteracy. We collaborate with other institutions, such as the Smithsonian, and even make collaborations between our hubs. Also, there's a video contest that gives money prizes and flies you to Washington, D.C. for an awesome celebration. And we know how to party. So what's the gain? Well, except from having the chance to meet change makers from around the globe and having a mentor to assist you in whatever project you want to work on and be part of a global movement of change, if you're still not sure how fun we are, I'll leave you with J.O., our rapper, because yes, change can also mean awareness through rap. Join us on our next orientation meeting. he won't regret it.
Can't even think of how they could be wiped off the map. We should be afraid, so let's take the fear and flip it to change. We're leading the way, we're forcing the change because we are the wave. We are the wave, we are the future.
I love that. We are the wave. Yes.
Yes, and in fact,
Very
J.O.
nice, I like it.
is, he created a great climate change little movie, and I wanted to share that since we're focused on climate change. So we have 10 hubs. Each of them focuses on an SDG. They're led by teens. We have 2 teen leaders, and then we have at least 2 mentors. They meet every week. They work on action. They have teens from all over the world coming in, so time zones are one of our biggest headaches. um, but Marieka will talk about our climate hub, but we've got them on quality education, arts, Spanish speaking hub, on all the SDGs, racial justice, mental health, gender equality, plastics, um, food, and food waste, hunger. I think I covered all of them, but oh, and wildlife preservation. That's our newest, wildlife conservation. So we're looking to have 17 hubs. We only have 10. We're trying to grow. But I'm going to ask Marieka to talk about our climate. But I wanted to say that JO is one of our winners. We have a grand prize winner every year of our 9 winners. And he's been making some really awesome rap videos for us. You can go and see the SDG rap video on our website. But he also made one on climate change. So if we have time, we can show that at the end, or we can send it to you.
Sure. But let's meet Marieka and let her tell us what it's like to be in one of these hubs. Welcome, Marieka. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me introduce you properly. Oops. Slowly. Marieka, I think I just closed the thing. So I'm going to just say Marieka is one of the teen ambassadors, right? That is working with the Global Collab and is in the Climate Hub. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you?
Yeah, so I'm one of the 2 ambassadors of the Global Collab Network Climate Change Hub. As Linda explained, the SDG hubs consist of groups of teens and mentors that meet weekly to address global issues. The Climate Hubs focuses on raising awareness of climate issues and solutions with the help of 2 mentors who guide our work to make initiation of our projects as efficient and effective as possible. In the Climate Hub, we have put in place several projects with goals of educating others on climate issues so that they might be inspired to act. We've also put out concrete, easy to initiate guides that anybody can follow to make their carbon footprint as minimal as possible. You'll see all of this in a video that our hub put together that I will share now. We are the Climate Action Hub. Our purpose in this hub is to create a positive environmental impact through education and action. Initiatives that we have created to fulfill our goal include a movie screening, speaking in a panel through our Smithsonian partnership, designing masks that raise awareness surrounding climate change, and creating monthly guides that explain how to apply sustainable practices to everyday life. Hi, I'm Marieka. I'm an ambassador of the Climate Hub from Seattle.
Hi, I'm Ava. I'm 16. I'm from Boston, and I'm one of the ambassadors of the Climate Hub.
I'm Alex Trapanese. I'm from Arlington, Virginia, and I'm part of the Teen Stream Climate Hub.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I am another member of the Climate Action Hub.
Hi, my name is Kayla Peel. I'm a senior in high school from Arlington, Virginia, and I'm a member of the Climate Hub.
Our first initiative took place back in April at the Smithsonian Digital Earth Optimism Summit, where 2 of our members were panelists, explaining how teens view the issue of climate change and how we have chosen to combat the issue. In June, we hosted a screening of the Netflix documentary Chasing Coral. This Sundance Award-winning documentary follows a team of divers, photographers, and researchers on their thrilling adventure to capture why warming ocean water is causing corals to vanish at an unprecedented rate. We ended this event with presentations from guest panelists on coral bleaching and the impacts that it has on the environment. More recently, we began a project where we designed and sold masks that promote sustainability with the message, "Green Your Commute." 4 of the SDG hubs have also adopted this project and created their own designs. The masks that have been released include our hub's Green Your Commute mask, the Hunger Hub, Farm Your Food mask, the Art Hub, Vote for Your Future mask, and the Racial Justice Hub, Racial Justice Now mask. With everybody wearing masks, it is very impactful to be making a positive statement wherever you go, whether it be about clean transportation, voting, farming, or racial justice. These messages can go a long way. The 4 SDG Hub masks are now available for purchase at globalcollab.net/shop. Finally, our latest project is a guide that will come out monthly. Each will focus on a sustainable practice that can be initiated in everyday activities such as shopping or commuting. Our first guide is focused on the impacts of fast fashion and how to avoid it. You will be able to check out this blog on our Hub's homepage at the TeenStream website soon. To join a hub or find out more about the SDG hubs, go to teenstreamcollab.org/SDG hubs. If you are interested in joining a hub, go to a monthly orientation where you can learn all about what we do and choose which hub you would like to join. Thank you so much for watching.
Yay. That's wonderful, Marieka. What a fulfilling thing to do as a high school student. Really terrific. So I'm interested in the mentors because I'm one of many people in my age bracket that are really interested in supporting young people with our years of experience and understanding of how these networks work. And so I wonder, could you tell us a little bit about how people, and well, I'll tell you, I have a group called Elders Climate Action. And I know that a bunch of people are going to want to be mentors in your program. So what is that like? What would they do? And how do they become active in that?
Marieka, do you want to talk? Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Each hub has 1 or 2 mentors, and they just facilitate the conversations, keep us moving efficiently and effectively towards our goals. So usually those mentors are like working for an organization where they specifically focus on the topic that the hub is focusing on. So that's one option for the hubs, but then for the video contest, each winner gets paired with a mentor, also one that specializes in the video topic that the teen is interested in. So yeah, that's about the extent of mentors.
And to add to that, Marieka's right. Our view is that we want these hubs to be led by teens. So the mentor's job is really to be there to support them and really, sort of be in the background a little bit. And the teens are to run the meetings and to lead the meetings and to move the agendas forward. But the mentors are there to sort of, help them. Like if they need help focusing or coming up with ideas, or if they need help. We also have, each hub has a dedicated intern. So the collab hires an intern that works with all the hubs, and the intern is in each of the meetings along with oftentimes myself. So you have the mentor, myself, the intern, the teen leaders, and then the members. And so we really are trying to be there, but our goal is really to have these be led by the teens, and that their actions are, what they're doing, they're passionate about. So the teens are really doing things they are excited about, that they are, but that I don't know if that answers your question, Sue, but we are always looking for mentors. So, and also our hubs are looking for projects and ideas. So, we'd love to have, and I know I know the climate change, the elder, I've been in some of the meetings of the elder climate group.
Elders Climate Action. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes, it is.
So why don't we answer that question? What can we do together that we can't do on our own? How about if we go around and let's start with the two folks that we were just hearing from, Linda and Marieka. How can people connect with you to get involved with your program?
Well, I think they can email us at info@globalcollab.net, and we can put that in the chat. They can, and then we'll get that and we'll forward it to the right folks. We have hundreds, not hundreds, but many teens working on different projects. So we'd funnel it to the right hub or the right project. We're always looking, really what we want and need is to get more teens into our rooms. So if the adults here can help us identify teachers that can help get their classrooms to engage their teens, that's what we really are trying to do, is build up our hubs. Our vision is to have hundreds of teens working in these virtual rooms from all over. We also get teens from all over the world that want to work on a project. And Ugoji, you said you're from, partially Nigeria. We have teens in Lagos that we're working with that are very interested in trying to figure out, in their case, I mean, these two young boys are unbelievably, I mean, they just blow me away. They're so passionate and want to be activists on pollution regarding plastic pollution, which is all over the planet. And we have a plastics hub that does nothing but focus on reducing plastics. And so, but what we really are trying to do is link them, these two boys, Joseph and Emmanuel, with some groups in Lagos that are working on plastics. So we really want them, every teen that comes in our room, we try to figure out how can we use our network in Mexico, Romania, UAE, in Taiwan, in Mexico, and Colombia, to help them be the change makers they want to be. So it's a very time consuming process to figure out what these teens are passionate about, where they're located, how can we help them be change makers. We also connect them to a lot of organizations. And Marieka, do you want to talk about the change maker course you took and the Model UN work? Just very briefly, because we're short, but.
Yeah. So the Global Changemakers course is a course that anybody can take, but it goes into a lot of detail on how people can make change and the best ways to do that. So it focuses on like how to think through issues and find the best solutions for those issues that will actually make a difference. It's just a really good course overall. And then a lot of teens in the hubs are involved in Model United Nations. So that's a group that connects teenagers and gives them like experience on how the United Nations works. And they have sort of mock debates where teens participate in and lead debates just like in the actual UN, and they can get experience debating and researching and collaborating.
And also, are you on some of the other social media platforms where teens can connect to you that way, like Instagram, et cetera, or any of the other ones, Snapchat or whatever?
Marieka? Do you want to answer that, Marieka?
The collab is on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok,
YouTube, LinkedIn. Yeah, we have a full-time social media person, and we're on all of those. I just put in our TeenStream website in the chat, and we do send delegations to the United Nations. We've sent them to the high-level political forum in July last year, and different youth meetings, and so we really would like to try to connect in our youth with the UN. more effectively. We work with the major group on children and youth, which is part of the UN system. But there's so much to be done. So we are really excited to be meeting you all, and would love to have a follow-up conversation. But for those that are listening, if you can go to our TeenStream website, encourage teens to apply to our video contest, to join our hubs. And we're always looking for teachers. We're looking for retired teachers that want to help us coordinate teachers as a volunteer. There's always volunteer opportunities, but we have no paid staff. So like a lot of groups probably, we are all volunteers and trying our best to build networks of networks.
Well, that's what we're here for. And I want to tell you that I was in what they called at that time the mock UN when I was in high school in 1964. And it was transformational. Probably put this bug in my head to still be working on this all these years later. It's a wonderful program. So I'm just really excited about helping to make those connections. And I know that Earl is also at the United Nations level. And so maybe we can find out how to get in touch with him and maybe make some connections.
That would be great.
First of all, I want to let you know that our project, The Common Home of Humanity, will be announcing its campaign towards Stockholm plus 50, the target date for a global pact for the environment. We'll be announcing that campaign in the next month, in November sometime. Doing all the foundation building for that right now. And I will get that out to everyone, to get it to Rick and Sue, to get out in the world on your network. And there will be links there for signing up for the monthly newsletter. The new website will be available. And there'll be the campaign will have a schedule of programs that you can log into and follow and be part of. So that's what I have right now. And I want to say, Marieka, I just ordered one of your masks, the Farm Your Food mask. And then I put your website out on my Facebook page and my LinkedIn page. So
Make great Christmas presents. Or Hanukkah presents or whatever presents. But Marieka came up with this idea. We have so many teens in our hubs. She's just one of many, but she does head our climate hub with Ava. But she came up with the mask idea, and this is just taken off. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's very attractive. And I'm going to connect you with a powerful young people's group. It's not all teens, some preteen and teen here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I know one of the organizers, and I'll get the information to them so they can join.
And I have young people in Florida that are wanting to get, and I know Ugoji has focused some of her intention on making our program in Florida a success. And we're working with a group at the university called Florida Connected. And their goal is to connect teachers in Florida with, students, young people in Florida with classrooms all over the world. So it looks like we are going to have some fun together. And
do you want to see this short video Jo made on climate change? It's very powerful.
If you have time.
It's 2 minutes. If you guys are willing.
Sure.
Okay. Just share it. And we can send it to you afterwards, but it's, I just want to say that he just sent me a text saying that a teacher in France used it with her classroom, and she is so excited. So here we go.
One life, we tend to think we got enough time. That's 27,375 more days than our average lives. this time? And haven't we seen enough signs? We've only got a few years until the damage we've done is irreversible, and then we start to decline, see the ice caps melting, tides keep rising, hurricanes, but now we're getting used to the lightning. Politics aside, it's a worldwide crisis. How could you turn a blind eye to this? It's not fake. Do you know how much food we waste? There's 150,000 tons of waste per day, but that's not all we face. The air that we breathe is polluted with CO2. Then half of the Amazon burnt in flames and the sky turned black from blue. And evidently we didn't do enough to sustain. We consume, but we never maintain. With the root of the problem, how we gonna make that change if we never do change? Cause all I wanna know is when you had a 20-minute shower, when you think about the water that we need. All I wanna know is if you had to drive to the store, if you could have rode your bike up the street. All I wanna know is if you really thought about the fishes you were killing when you lived in the sea. Chopping down the trees, I find it difficult to breathe. We should learn from our mistakes, so they set us free. So I believe there's a way. Got the keys, we're steady making a change. They can never conceive. Think of a dream, bring it to reality. Got potential, we need to believe. Emissions affecting the air that we breathe. But take a look at the Brazilian couple that planted just over 4 million trees. We should be following out for a shot. He independently cleans up the beach. Acidic water is killing the sharks. This is what schools are starting to teach. Worship the young people like Marieka, transporting water to places in Flint. More than our shoulders because the mistakes of our elders affected the way that we live. Greta Thunberg said it clearly, yes, everybody should look at the stats. There's people like William Kankawaba who designed a windmill out of trash. Our generation is so innovative, they call us creatives, but we're more than that. People in power controlling the masses, deflecting the crisis on everyone's hands. We are the children, think about that. Think of the kids that we wanted to have. Think of the future of continents flooding, and think of how they could be wiped off the map. We should be afraid, so let's take the fear and flip it to change. We're leading the way, we're forcing the change because we are the wave. The time is now. We need your help for this revolution. So let's save the planet, and let's make a wave of change. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful, really wonderful.
Great.
What a that's the kind of energy, that's the wave that we really want to support, encourage, and find ways to just be together, generations doing this all together. So again,
That's great.
yeah,
And,
I'll let
and
you
thank
close.
you. Also, Ugoji, do you want to say, Ugoji, how people can connect with you and be part of what you're working on as well?
Well, if you can connect with me on my email, and so maybe we could have a discussion. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I like
do you
that
want
video. I like that video, Linda.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah. Is it on Facebook?
I'm going to share it with you. I'm just going to put it in the chat, and I really encourage you to get it, share it with anybody.
Okay. Could you send it to me by email?
Sure. Of course I can. I'd be
And
honored.
we'll put this up on and send it to me as well, and we'll put this on the Facebook so everyone watching.
And I can copy Jo, so you can reach out to him directly, because he may.
Yeah, I'd like to reach out to him.
Yeah, he's really special, and you know, he actually, I have to say, he came to, he did that video on the UN SDGs for collab, and then the Smithsonian flew him to Washington to perform at the Earth Optimism Summit, and there were 800 policymakers there, and the UN environment UNEP came up to him and said, "My gosh, this is amazing. Can you come down to Nairobi for our meeting?" And, you know, Jo hoped that maybe something would happen, but I would love to promote him. His dream was to have his voice heard in the world. And I think that rap is a great way to reach young people, and he's very good at it. So, you know, I will copy him. He was so excited. He sent me a text yesterday and said that a teacher in France was, I have to, well, I know we're running late, but I'll send you the link. She had her whole classroom in France singing the rap and watching it. And she said she wrote him a long letter about how it helped her teaching.
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
This has been a great show, and we look forward to collaborating into the future. I have a couple of announcements. So basically, the next Welcome to We show will be November 17th. It's always the third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can find out more, of course, about We the World and the We campaign by going to we.net. And to collaborate, go to we.net/partner. And we also have the Global Unity calendar where people can post their events, and it's a free public international calendar. So if you have upcoming things, you can post it on our calendar. And when you do that, it appears on multiple web pages with our allied organizations that are synchronized with the calendar. And that's at globalunitycalendar.org. And I guess that's about it. Any last words, Sue?
Well, I'm just so encouraged and would like to invite people to the Climate Collaboratory so that you can help with some of these projects. You can contact me at Sue Blythe at we.net, and that's SUEBLYTHE at we.net. Thank you.
Okay, and remember, it's all about we. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.